is the road. The light comes and goes and returns again. Be gentle with your fellow travelers as they move through the world of stone and stars, whirling with you yet not everyone alone. The road waits. Do not ask questions, but when it invites you to dance at daybreak, say yes. Each step is a journey, a single note of song.
And then in the back it says, what do you stand for? So every time you always ask several thought-provoking questions that people can think about and answer.
Wonderful. Guys, thank you so much.
Cool. Cheers.
Daybreaker is a global movement started in 2013 that throws raging dance parties in a carnival-like atmosphere. Like most other well-produced parties, there are nationally recognized DJs, live music, crazy dancing, and plenty of opportunities for mischief. Unlike most other parties, Daybreaker begins at the crack of dawn and takes place on a weekday and features healthy smoothies and espresso in place of drugs and alcohol. To me, that sounded absolutely terrible. But right now, it's one of the most popular and fastest growing social movements in the world. The Hustle wanted to find out why, so I set my alarm for 5 a.m., got a quick coffee at 7-Eleven, and headed down the West Side Highway to see exactly who was down to wake up that early.
What's up, Daybreaker?
Just the energy in here. The fact that everyone's just waking up, starting the day, everyone's sober, clean, just having fun and being friendly, making friends and meeting new faces. It's great.
Super bright. It's early in the morning. You wake up and you're like, oh God, I don't know if I can make it. Then you get here and it's the best time you've ever had. This is really weird.
I was able to catch up with Matt Brimer, one of the founders of Daybreaker, while we were still at the party and find out a bit about what was going on. Matt, along with his co-founder Radha Agrawal, founded Daybreaker in 2014 as a social art experiment. Since its inception, it's grown exponentially in size and has a central team of 4 producers empowering bi-weekly events in cities around the world. He showed me around the boat and assured me that, despite my sincere doubt, nobody was on drugs. Instead of cocaine and vodka, I was at a party sponsored by Daily Greens and Zico water. In fact, instead of the impulsiveness that goes along with drugs, most of the people here were incredibly intentional. To come to Daybreaker, you have to buy a $35 ticket that sells out well in advance. At this particular party, we were on a boat in the middle of the Hudson River, so you had to be on time, a near impossible task while high or rolling phase. It turns out, the folks here were some of the most driven and successful people I've ever met. Not least of these people was Matt Brimer himself, who along with Radha are 2 of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs of our generation.
Not ask questions. When it invites you to dance at daybreak, say yes. Each step is the journey. A single note.
The party was winding down, but I was pleasantly surprised by what I'd just been through and wanted to find out a bit more. Daybreaker was founded by Matt and Radha, who run globally oriented startups in tech, education, health, and apparel. Matt, whose 29th birthday we just celebrated, runs General Assembly, an education startup that has raised $50 million to date, and Radha's Thinks and Super Sprouts take on the global humanitarian issues of childhood obesity and gender inequality in profitable and scalable ways. So, with their schedules already more than full, why were they throwing parties at 5 in the morning? I sat down with them at the offices of General Assembly in Manhattan's Flatiron District to hear just what they were thinking. Guys, what did we just experience?
Well, first of all, it was a boat party, Daybreaker version, or Daybreaker boat party version, featuring Matt's birthday. It was actually our biggest one yet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How many people were there?
1,100 people.
Yeah. 1,100 people.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it was over late night falafels in Williamsburg, and both of us were sort of commiserating over how nightlife had become synthetic, and yeah, he had shared with me sort of this idea of like, oh my gosh, what if we did a morning party? And I was like, yes, I've literally been looking for this forever. Let's do it.
Yeah. So we thought, well, okay, what if we could remove all of the negative aspects of what kind of define traditional nightlife, right? Remove the drugs, alcohol, exclusion, darkness, escapism, mean people, all that kind of stuff. And we thought, okay, well, rather than creating an experience of how people end their night, what if we kind of throw all that away and create some sort of really tribal, euphoric dance party kind of experience as a way for people to start their day, right? So there's already nightlife, right? But where's the morning life? You know?
And the best part is every city has their own flair, has their own local artists, has their own style of DJ and music. And so New York is its own sort of beast, but then you go to LA and it's its own beast. And you go to San Francisco and it has its own sort of flair, and maybe there's more costumes in San Francisco. Maybe Sao Paulo, Brazil, relaunched there, has more sort of empanada, I don't know, some delicious breakfast offering there, because breakfast is very, very important in Brazil. You know, in Tel Aviv, Israel, where we launched there, there's also a very different kind of tribal DJ music that they play there. So, you know, every city has their own flair. And
were you guys surprised by that response? And like, also, what do you think that is a reaction to? Like, what is that?
I know exactly what the reaction is too. I mean, I think everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants, every single person on the planet wants to feel like they belong somewhere. They want to feel like they have a community.
It's about not being okay with the status quo. Right. You know, it's about thinking, you know, looking at the world and realizing, you know, that the rules is a good Steve Jobs quote, or Steve Jobs has a good quote about this, about looking at the world and realizing that, like, the whole world and all the structures and rules and kind of why we do things as a society, all of those rules were made up by people no smarter than you. It's funny, if, you know, I feel like for a lot of us, you know, even back to like as early as elementary school, right? We were kind of bucketed as kids into, you know, artists or non-artists, right? You're creative. You're creative, or you're something else, right? Even, you know, in companies, brands, and agencies, whatever, you know, they have a creative department, and you have creatives, and in some ways, even from a very young age, it's like you're either artistic and you're creative, or you're not. And if you're not, it's like, well, you're not creative, you're not artistic, like you're not an art, you know, just like avoid that altogether. But I think something that we really believe in is that, like, to be human is to create, right? Every human is creative by design, by definition. Creative in different ways, of course, you know, there's myriad ways to be creative, but that's all inside people, and it's just maybe not tapped into enough, and maybe it's not cultivated or let out enough, right? And so when we think about self-expression, everyone can come and you know, encourage that kind of creativity to blossom from within, and that could mean some funky dance moves, it could mean a costume, it could mean a different way of interacting with people, but just, you know, encouraging that kind of creativity in everyone and create an environment in which that's encouraged and safe, I think is a pretty powerful thing. And if, again, people can take that, then at least a little piece of that, of all these values, from that morning in this like high energy environment where people like are feeling all these values with each other, and then they can take that mischief and that camaraderie and that self-expression, that wellness, mindfulness out into their day and share aspects of that with their friends, colleagues, and family. And like, that's I think, a powerful thing.